Excelsior!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Excelsior. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joined once again by Jack Martin.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
I'm very happy. Our trio is a duo today.
Yes.
Pat is not joining us. He's out on assignment.
Yeah.
So
He's out on assignment. Yeah.
So regardless, we're still gonna open the show the same way we have the past 2 weeks
Looking forward to it.
with "Cast Me, Baby" one more time.
Hell yeah.
If you're not familiar, if you're joining this week, first off, watch the first two episodes so you are caught up with us. Second, every week, Jack picks a character name
I guess that's it.
randomly out of this preschool box, and neither of us know beforehand what this character is, who they are. Well, we know who they are, but the point of it all, we each pick a actor or actress to play whichever character Jack picks randomly, and Pat next week will be the deciding vote on who gets cast in our fictional Marvel universe that will be expanding after the Fox purchase. Who'd you pick?
Okay. I pulled out Reed Richards,
Okay.
which is an interesting one.
Uh-huh.
Do you have one?
I do. Do you want to go first?
Okay.
Dan, or?
You go first.
All
if
right.
you have one.
Well, there's a fair chance that we might pick the same person.
Okay.
I'm going to say John Krasinski.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that. That's actually really good.
Okay. John Krasinski, minute starts now. John Krasinski is very good. John Krasinski has a history with Marvel. He was almost Captain America.
That's true.
He got so close to being Captain America in the MCU. I think he was the second choice, or maybe he was the first choice, and then he couldn't do it, and he didn't want to do it, something like that.
Yeah.
But John Krasinski has some relation to Marvel. Fantastic Four is not that cool. John Krasinski's cool.
He's cool now.
He's cool with the kids.
Yeah.
Thanks to The Office being huge on Netflix. He's a big-time director now. Quiet Place 2 just got announced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's getting a lot of work. He's good. He's serious. I think he can bring a levity to Reed Richards that is needed. He can't be too serious. And they're obviously going to, well, in my head at least, the Fantastic Four should be the same presence that S.H.I.E.L.D. has had in the MCU.
Right.
And I think John Krasinski has that gravitas that he could portray similar to Sam Jackson, and that is my time.
Wow. I think that is an excellent choice. And I have my list here, as I usually do. And I'm looking through it. I'm like, oh, I don't know if anyone fits the bill here. But I'll throw him out there. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
He's never been in a superhero movie, right? I don't think so.
Again, he had a history.
He
was
did have a
almost
history.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was almost Spider-Man, the character.
I think James Cameron was going to make a Spider-Man movie
Oh, and
before
that would've been
Raimi,
him.
and he was the choice.
And he was also meant to be the Riddler in one of Christopher Nolan's movies, if that ever came up. And he never got it. I think he would be a really good villain role, but I think he has a really good presence about him as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'd be a very compelling leader in the Fantastic Four. That's interesting that you say that Fantastic Four isn't cool, because that's probably true. But Leonardo DiCaprio is cool, like John Krasinski. And I don't know, I feel like he's a really compelling actor, and we don't really get to see him in these types of movies. So I feel like that'd be an interesting change of pace for his particular roles. Yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about Leonardo DiCaprio.
All
He's a
right.
cool dude.
Okay. Well, next week, follow up on that, see if it's John Krasinski or Leo.
It really should be John Krasinski. It's a good call.
I do think both are good choices. Like Leo, I do want to see tackle something like this.
Oh, definitely.
Similarly to the way Jake Gyllenhaal is doing it now, who I kind of think, obviously he's not like as well-renowned as an actor as Leo is, but
Yeah.
I look at them in like the same light, kind of.
I've said it for years. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is like the most underrated actor out there right now. I feel like he deserves
He's really
way
good.
more.
Yeah, he's very good.
Enemy, anything he's been in with by Denis Villeneuve, like Prisoners and Enemy,
Yeah, Prisoners was really good.
Nightcrawler, all these movies, like he's insane in, and he deserves more recognition, I would say.
Definitely, and Marvel would give that to him.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, we'll figure that out next week.
Yeah, Pat will have to decide.
Similar to last week, I want to give a quick comic book shout out. Again, good time to get into comics because Marvel did their fresh start. I've been waiting for them to do this for a while because they didn't revive everything. They revived a few things. Recently, about a couple weeks ago, I think the week before we started doing the show, Donny Cates, who has been writing Venom since last summer, he also did a short series called Cosmic Ghost Rider, which was Punisher being enlisted to be like the right-hand man to Thanos, being a cosmic version of Ghost Rider.
The Punisher?
Yes, the Punisher.
Okay.
Like very old Frank Castle in space as Ghost
Fascinating.
Rider helping Thanos. Eventually doing something. He turns away eventually. But
Yeah.
short, 6 issues. So Donny Cates dropped that, picked up, and is now the runner of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
So he's writing Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel. Issue 2 came out this past Wednesday, if you're listening to this. So it's available. Issue 1 I have. Issue 2 I have. I have not read issue 2 yet, but I do like what issue 1 sets up. It's a cool cast.
Yeah.
Different team than we're used to. Cosmic Ghost Rider is involved. So if you want a little wet your feet a little bit, you can pick up Cosmic Ghost Rider, a couple of the issues at least, because
Yeah.
again, it's short. That's it for comics, though.
Have you read any other Guardians comics?
I own volume. After I saw the original Guardians film, I bought volume 1 of Abnett and Lanning,
Mm-hmm.
and that's more in line with the like Gamora, Drax, Groot,
Oh,
Mantis,
okay. Yeah.
that sort of lineup. I only have the first. There's 2 volumes, I think. I only own the first. I like it.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for Marvel to do a newer one, so I can read it in continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems like a very good one to pick up on.
I feel like a lot of people probably read a lot of Guardians after the movie.
Oh yeah,
Because I didn't know what the hell Guardians of the Galaxy was until the movie came out. Did you
Yeah.
know? Like, did you have like an inkling?
I think I was familiar with the name, but that might be giving myself even too much credit.
Yeah.
Like I know when it was announced originally at that Comic-Con when it was like, oh, Guardians, and it was that concept art. I'll
Yes.
throw it up on the screen right now or something.
That looks really cool. No, but I really thought that concept art was really cool. But
Yeah, I loved it.
the like the description that they were saying, I think we said it in last week's episode, but like a tree, a raccoon, and like some jackass from the 1980s is like gonna like lead this movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then honestly, I think it still is like one of the best Marvel movies.
It's
out
my
there.
number 2 currently.
Yep.
So, yeah, Guardians is great, and I'm excited that they're giving them more credit in the comics because they.
Yes.
Again, I started getting into comics pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians hasn't been too hot in the comics apparently.
Really?
Like they had a run that went for a while, got canceled. They started a new run that only lasted for like maybe a year, and then it was silence from December 2017 through January of this year, I think.
Really?
I think Star-Lord had a comic for like a short run.
Okay.
But that's it.
I feel like that series would do incredibly well. 'Cause
Right,
people
yeah.
love the Guardians.
Yeah, and I mean like comics already don't do super well sales-wise because as cool as comic book movies are, not a lot of people will go and check out comics.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Cool. I need to start checking out some comics.
You do.
I have that, and you mentioned this to me. I have that the free pass to Marvel Unlimited.
Oh,
right?
you do have it?
From Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
I should do that.
Yeah, Marvel Unlimited's cool.
Mhm.
Comixology, their subscription service is pretty good. First month is free, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sponsored or anything. That'd be cool, but we're not. So yeah, that's pretty much the comic roundup. Like I said last week, Spider-Man's doing an event soon. So if you're interested, check out last week. I did a little recap of that. But moving on, we got some MCU news to talk about.
Cool, let's do it.
First up, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with something that's like exciting,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want to start with something that's upsetting?
Let's do something upsetting.
Okay.
And then we can lift ourselves up.
So, if you're living under a rock, you may not have noticed, but over the past year, the Marvel Netflix shows have been canceled one
Oh.
after another.
God.
So, the time has come.
Yeah.
Punisher, bye-bye. Jessica Jones, goodbye.
Nail in the coffin.
It's officially dead.
Yeah. Why? So here's my question.
Mhm.
Why did they wait this long for Jessica Jones? Because like
So,
there wasn't a season announced. So it was first Iron Fist that they got rid of. Then it was Daredevil.
Luke Cage.
Oh, Luke Cage, and then it was Daredevil. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And then Punisher and Jessica Jones were like at the same time
Yeah.
this past week.
And I have a few quotes to run through.
Okay.
So first off, the official statement on all this is Marvel's The Punisher. This is from Deadline. Marvel's The Punisher will not return for a third season on Netflix. Showrunner Steve Lightfoot, the terrific crew, and exceptional cast, including star John Bernthal, delivered an acclaimed and compelling series for fans, and we are proud to showcase their work on Netflix for years to come. So cool, it's at least going to still be there, I guess. Continuing on, In addition, we have decided that the upcoming third season will also be the final season for Marvel's Jessica Jones. We are grateful for showrunner Melissa Rosenberg, star Kristen Ritter, and the entire cast and crew, and the entire series, which was recognized with Peabody Awards and many other awards. So Jessica Jones season 3, I didn't know
I
about.
had no clue.
Still coming.
Huh.
I guess they already shot it.
I'm so out of the loop with Jessica Jones. I didn't even know that they were going to do a season 3, let alone it's already shot.
Yeah, I have been just out of the loop on Marvel Netflix in general.
Mhm.
After that first season of Daredevil, Jessica Jones was the follow-up, right?
Yes, it was.
Right. So
2016, I want to say.
yeah, I think that just came out at a bad time. Like I was finishing high school, I think, and I was really busy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I never picked that up, which I have heard Jessica Jones is awesome, and I do want to watch it at some point.
I only watched like half of the first season. It was really good, and then I don't know, didn't pick it up. I didn't hate it. I just like stopped watching.
Yeah, that was my experience with Iron Fist, which was the second one I hopped into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but I've talked about this with a lot of people. Iron Fist just felt so tired. Like I've seen that story through Arrow, Batman Begins, countless other places, and better.
Yes.
Even within the MCU, Doctor Strange is a similar sort of startup.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Iron Fist I got like 6 episodes and just stopped.
Yeah.
Luke Cage came at a bad time. Defenders I never watched. Punisher I watched the first 3 episodes and then I was like, I can't fit this in right now. And the biggest issue for me is the fact that the MCU has repercussions on the shows, but not vice versa.
Yeah, it's not the other way around. That is an issue for me too, because they do mention the MCU. I remember in Daredevil, the first season, they mentioned the incident. I think they called it the incident. Like the Avengers.
What was the reporter's name? Ben
something, yeah.
Yeah, he had a newspaper on his wall.
Yes.
That talked about the battle in New York.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and
That was it.
that's pretty much the extent we got with the greater MCU. And it's weird to me that season 3 of Jessica Jones is the final Netflix Marvel show, because that's kind of just at this point, season 2, people kind of met that with lukewarm responses. And it's weird that season's going to like finalize Netflix Marvel. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it seems like they've been on a downswing, I guess, because I also heard from some people that Punisher season 2 wasn't that great either.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I watched all of season 1 of Punisher, and I liked it, but it's too much for me. Way too violent. I mean, I know that's the point, but oh my God, he would get shot up every episode and like be on like the brink of death, and then the next episode he'd be fine. Like, what's going on here? But I got through maybe like a couple episodes of season 2, and it just didn't really catch my attention, so I stopped watching.
Yeah, and I think everybody even Iron Fist kind of, I think they're all good casting choices.
Oh, definitely.
I liked all of them from what they brought to the character, especially Kristen Ritter and Charlie Cox.
Yes,
I
Charlie
thought both
Cox
of them
is
were
amazing.
like nailed. Luke Cage I didn't see enough of.
Yeah.
I did see some of like Jessica Jones through Defenders stuff, but like, yeah, I hope. Well, we do have another news story that's sort of connected to this. I'll just roll into that.
Sure.
So Jeff Loeb is the guy who oversees Marvel TV. Jeff Loeb also wrote Spider-Man Blue.
Oh.
And
is he like the Kevin Feige of Marvel TV?
I'm not familiar enough to say that, but it seems like he is.
Yeah.
I don't know, because he's also, I don't know if he has a presence on like S.H.I.E.L.D. or Cloak and Dagger and stuff like that. But he's prolific because I think he did work on Heroes in Smallville.
Okay. Oh, Smallville. The greatest bad television show of all time. All 10 seasons of it.
I've seen 3 episodes of it, and that was enough.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So yeah, Jeff Loeb wrote a letter to fans of Marvel TV. I took a few excerpts out of that. So Jeff Loeb said, on behalf of everyone at Marvel Television, we couldn't be more proud or more grateful to our audience. Our network partner may have decided they no longer want to continue telling the tales of these great characters, but you know Marvel better than that. As Matthew Murdock's dad once said, the measure of a man is not how he gets knocked to the mat, it's how he gets back up. To be continued, ...
Oh.
So,
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much say Jeff Loeb has as far as the greater MCU goes, because clearly his shows do not have much say on the greater MCU.
No, they do not.
Um, I know the rumors and rumblings about this whole scenario is there's a deal that Marvel's Netflix characters, or Netflix's Marvel characters, I guess, can't appear anywhere else for 2 years after the cancellations.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So not even like other streaming services, movies. That's the rumor. I don't know how official that is, or
Okay.
if that was like a prior deal thing, but that's what people are taking as fact right now, if it is fact or not. So yeah, I don't know. Like maybe to Marvel proper, these characters and those performances are worth maybe buying out of the contract, because like we all know Netflix needs money.
Yeah.
Right?
I would hope so. I'd love to see, especially Daredevil in the MCU.
Mhm.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But what I do like about the Netflix shows is that the MCU now is all interconnected, and you can have standalone movies, but they all have like significance on the MCU itself. And I would have liked to see some influence from the MCU in the Netflix shows, but I do like how they're standalone. What I like about DC, what they're doing right now, is they are kind of focusing on standalone, at least after Justice League. Like the new Joker movie is going to just be like totally disconnected from everything in the DC universe. So I did like how Marvel had that aspect going for it in the Netflix shows, because their movies are all interconnected, and we don't really get standalone, like, oh, let's just make a small story here. We don't really get that. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah, I think there's merit to doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to see them do it more. Clearly, we talked about this last week. Their animated shows will most likely be doing that.
Right.
I'm not sure, because again, Marvel TV is something I'm kind of have a blind spot with. Shield, I know, kind of exists parallel to the MCU or
Yeah,
something.
it's the events of Winter Soldier happen on it at some point or another.
Yeah, but
I
like
never-
now
never
they're
seen
in
it.
space. The Inhumans are there
What?
in Shield. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah, I'm definitely
really
out of the
don't
loop
know.
on that. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Inhumans. Did that? It had a
It got
season.
a pilot.
That's all it got was a pilot.
I don't know if it got more, but I remember the pilot was a big deal.
Yikes! I remember that. That first trailer was awful. Was absolutely awful.
Yeah. Well, recently, I think last November is when the Inhumans movie was originally planned
Yeah.
to come out before
Yep.
Phase 3 got shaken up with Spider-Man and all the new additions.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's pretty much everything from Marvel TV. The shows were pretty good.
Mhm.
They weren't great. Daredevil was the shining star, I would say.
Season 1 and Season 3 are incredible, and Season 3 actually might even be better than Season 1. I'd have to rewatch it again, but yeah, those shows had a really bad issue of having too many episodes.
Yeah.
Like 12. It was like 12 episodes for each show, and way too long.
I mean, like, look at The Flash. That's like 23 episodes a season.
Christ. But what I didn't love The Defenders, but they only had 6 episodes.
That's probably better.
I think it worked perfect, because if that went on any longer, I would have absolutely hated it. But for what it was pretty good, especially for 6 episodes, in and out. So
Yeah, well, hopefully some of them, like, they're all good actors. They all have stuff that they're working on anyway.
yeah, definitely.
I would like to see a few of them pop up in other places, idealistically, but that's all we have for Marvel TV.
Mhm.
So I have 3 things that we can go into next. First thing, you know what, we're doing this first. Mini segment called Is This News? I checked before we started recording today. I wanted to see if there was any last minute stories, because last week we did see that there was a story worth talking about.
Yes.
So according to MCU Cosmic, there's a quote from Kevin Feige: "Black Widow is not rated R. People heard that somewhere, ran with it as fact. Kevin Feige says Black Widow is not rated R. Is this worth talking about?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I thought it was rated R.
I did too. I said it was a couple weeks ago.
Boo. I want that to be rated R.
Yeah, the rumor was that was going to be the first rated R
Yeah.
MCU film.
That would be awesome. Imagine that, like a female-centric superhero with an R-rated movie. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
would've been
Oh my
cool.
God. They gotta make it R-rated.
I don't necessarily believe him
Yeah. Honestly.
at this point. I feel like it makes sense. I feel like if that's a direction they are thinking of going,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe they're just not ready to talk about it because, I don't know, PR reasons. Who knows? But yeah, we know from Bob Iger that Disney is not like putting down a hammer on preventing R-rated Marvel content in the future. So I don't know. Maybe they don't want to transition a characters traditionally PG-13 into rated R.
Yeah,
Don't know.
that would definitely be a PG-13 movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
I don't even know the ratings of these movies.
I think they're all PG-13.
Okay, makes sense.
There's too much punching.
Yeah.
To not be.
Now, do we have a release date or anything on any information on Black Widow?
I know they are in pre-production in some capacity for it.
We got a director on that thing?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Not sure. Maybe someone who's working on Captain Marvel. I don't know.
Who's directing Captain Marvel? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know that.
I don't either. I should know that.
Yeah.
But I have one other story. The Eternals is a movie that Marvel's working on,
Okay.
which it's so strange to me. Phase 4, I feel like none of these things are real.
Yeah. So Black Widow is Phase 4, I imagine.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Black Panther 2.
Wait, what?
The first Asian-led superhero film, Shang-Chi. I think that was announced a couple weeks ago.
Is that a character in Marvel?
Yes.
Shang-Chi? I don't even know who that is.
Me either.
Huh.
So Shang-Chi, I think, is how it's presented. I
Okay.
think Shang-Chi, Black Widow, Doctor Strange 2, Far From Home,
Okay.
Black Panther 2.
Mm.
I think that's what we're looking at right now, and also the Eternals. The Eternals is super cosmic MCU stuff. Pretty much celestials, ancient beings. Jack Kirby created it. He's the guy who did the New Gods for DC, but traditionally he's a Marvel guy.
Okay.
The Eternals had a casting call that kind of broke down some of the cast, so people are speculating who's in charge of the team, I guess, in the MCU version of the Eternals. Is this important right now?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Eternals.
You're more hopeful than I thought you were going to be, because I would have just breezed past both of these things.
I don't know. It's news worthy talking about, I suppose.
Yeah, so
a little bit.
I guess the breakdown has been out there for a while. Now it's there's a question of if the main character is going to be a woman who is just an archaeologist who has no special powers, but she gets brought into the fold.
Indiana Jones.
And that's how we experience everything, similar to, I guess, the way they used Natalie Portman's character in the first Thor, of like, you're a scientist, so we're going to explain how everything works to you, and that way we can explain it to the audience.
Okay. All right.
So that's pretty much all there is right now with the Eternals.
Interesting. What a weird... Phase 4 seems really weird to me.
It doesn't seem real to me.
No.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm
all
waiting
these
for the
movies, I'm
moment.
like,
Like, remember I think the El Capitan Theater a couple years back, they were like, oh...
Was this the Civil War? Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Inhumans.
Oh my god, yeah. But it was actually first, wasn't it?
Serpent Society.
Serpent Society,
was the
yeah.
original name of Captain America.
What is Serpent Society in the Marvel comic?
I think it's just
verse?
some like evil spy agency.
Oh, is it like do people like that series? Do you know, like, or were people like, oh, Serpent Society?
I know this is stretching back, but I think I remember people already writing up reports about it when it got announced. Because it was probably like 10 minutes between Serpent Society to Civil War during that event. So I don't know. But I'm waiting for that for Phase 4. Maybe it's at Comic-Con this year.
I'd love that.
Because I guess they're coming back to Comic-Con.
Ooh.
So
I
don't
feel
know.
like we don't really know too much about like definite Marvel movies coming out. Like Far From Home is after Endgame, and then like what's the closest one after that?
It was going to be Guardians.
Not anymore.
Probably Black Panther, I would assume, is the next one.
That's fascinating. 2 years after? 2 or 3? Wow. Quick turnaround. Marvel's always good at quick turnaround, though.
Yeah, definitely. And adapting, as we saw with the Inhumans movie that was canceled.
Oh, yeah.
We got 2 more things on the news docket.
Okay.
One, I feel like we can breeze past.
Okay.
Because the other one is more meaty.
Meaty.
Gwyneth Paltrow is retiring from the MCU after Endgame.
Good. Sorry.
Yeah,
Hot take.
I know you don't like her.
Yeah.
I pulled a quote from her. This is from Variety. I feel very lucky that I did it. I was friends with Jon Favreau. It was a wonderful experience making the first Iron Man. Of course, if they said, can you come back for a day, I'll always be there if they need me. So I guess the fate of Pepper Potts is...
Yeah. I don't know.
Just retire?
Yeah, that's... her character has always annoyed me.
Uh-huh.
She's just like, I don't know. She's not useful, I feel, in the MCU. Even for Tony. Like, I don't know why he liked her. I don't know. That just bothered me. And also, like, the whole, like, we'll get to it later in Civil War, but like, oh, we're going through like a break.
Yeah, was it a contract thing?
It
Like,
it must have been, because they did that with Natalie Portman. They had that one thing in Ragnarok where they're like, oh, she broke up with you, and that was it. Jane Austen's gone forever. And it seemed like that's what they were doing in Civil War, because I was like, oh, they're doing the Jane Austen thing, and then she popped up in Homecoming.
Yeah, I'm.
And then Infinity War.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting that this is getting a little spoilery.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe spoilers. I don't know, because like the movie's not out yet. Nobody knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
In the trailer for Far From Home, the giant check was signed Pepper Potts.
Oh.
And so I don't know if she forgot that she shot something for Spider-Man, or maybe
interesting.
Maybe that can. Maybe that's just a little curveball the editors are throwing at us, because
Yeah,
maybe Tony's still alive and he did sign the check, and then Pepper.
I will say that they mess around with the trailers here and there.
They have a history of doing that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't put it past him.
So yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow, you were in some good movies.
Yeah. You were in them. Were you good in them? That's debatable.
All right, last up on the news is Captain Marvel news. Yay.
Yes.
Captain Marvel. I want to do a Captain Marvel hype check.
Sure.
How you feeling about Captain Marvel?
Here's the thing about Captain Marvel. I've never seen a trailer for this movie.
Really?
I have no clue what's happening. Maybe I've seen one.
Okay.
But honestly, I love going, especially with a character I know nothing about.
Hmm.
I know absolutely nothing about Captain Marvel. I know she gets her powers from someone else, and then she becomes Captain Marvel. Know nothing about the character.
Okay.
I've seen maybe a trailer.
All right.
But it's the MCU, so I'm hyped.
Okay. So there was some scuttlebutt with Captain Marvel over the past few months.
Some scuttlebutt?
Of people who I guess just don't want to give any hype towards a movie such as this. I've been excited for it.
Yeah.
I usually get excited for most Marvel movies. I love Brie Larson.
Yes, she's great. Room? You ever see Room?
I've loved her ever since Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah.
She was Envy Adams. She had that awesome cover of Black Sheep, which is better than the metric version.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, she was in that. 21 Jump Street.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny in that. Room.
Oh, that makes me cry.
Yeah, Room is transcendent.
I cry the entire time, every time I watch that. I've only watched it once. I'll probably never see it again.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it again.
No,
it's incredible, but I don't want to
it's
watch
not
it
a movie
again. I
I
don't
wanna
want to
watch
put myself through that.
No.
Brie Larson is pretty much going to be the headliner for the rest of the MCU moving forward.
Yeah, it seems it.
So I want to kick this off. We got Twitter impressions
Mm-hmm.
for some early screenings of Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Obviously, we have the Captain Marvel poster.
There
I'm
it is.
excited for this movie.
Yeah.
One of the things that really got me hyped up, I actually saw when I was writing up show notes last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a TV spot, or like an internet ad, I guess, for Captain Marvel. It gave me chills.
Ooh.
It was going through. It was like, some heroes are built, and then it showed the shot of Iron Man in Iron Man 1 in the
hell
cave, hammering on the mask.
Yep.
Some heroes are made. Skinny Steve then popping out. Some heroes are born. Thor doing the twirly jump.
Yeah.
And then it was like March 8th, discover what makes her a hero. And I was like, this is a very good trailer.
That's a great trailer.
Yeah. And I'm very excited, especially after the positive, very positive tweets I've been seeing.
Good.
I pulled a few highlights out of them.
Sure.
So the Twitter reviews are out. Everyone seems to be praising Brie Larson's performance, her sarcasm and charm that she brings to the character.
Good.
Her cat steals the show, apparently. Very good 90s vibes.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm most excited about. I want to hear some Green Day's Dookie, perhaps, maybe, licensing. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. I wonder if, there could be some really good soundtrack choices.
Yes. So Guardians has the great 70s soundtrack and a little bit into the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Really would like some good 90s stuff, some Nirvana, perhaps.
I'm curious how much they're going to lean into it, because if you haven't seen any of the trailers, right?
Haven't seen it. No. Maybe one.
Do you care if I spoil
No,
one thing?
go for it.
Okay. So there's, in the first trailer, the first shot of the first thing we saw from Captain Marvel, She crashes into a Blockbuster video.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just saw that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope they lean into that.
I hope they do too. I know some
Because-
people don't like that, but I love
Well,
that.
the first Cap is like a period piece pretty much
Yeah.
for that era.
Mm-hmm.
Why not a 90s one, you know?
That's a good point.
So yeah, I hope they do some good 90s stuff. I want to make a bet with you right now.
Okay.
Backstreet or NSYNC? Who makes it in?
Backstreet Boys.
I'll say NSYNC.
I think people know Backstreet Boys more than NSYNC nowadays.
Well, NSYNC had JT.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of in Backstreet Boys? Who's in the
Joey
Backstreet Boys?
Fatone.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I'll say Backstreet Boys.
Wait, I might be wrong on that.
I thought
No,
Backstreet.
NSYNC is definitely JT.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know then. Who's Bye Bye Bye? Backstreet Boys?
Bye 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 is NSYNC.
Oh. What did the Backstreet Boys do?
I Want It That Way.
Oh, yeah.
Backstreet's Back.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Backstreet Boys.
Okay, I'll say NSYNC.
Yeah, I really hope we get. I love gimmicks like that.
Yeah.
I really do, and I really do hope they lean into it. I hope someone's playing some sort of PlayStation video game. On
That'd be so cool.
The PlayStation 1 console, perhaps a Nintendo 64. When did that come out? Late 90s.
I think so, like 96 maybe.
Okay, perhaps Super Nintendo system, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I don't know, some sort of video game thing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be like a million references. That's gonna be all over the place.
I really hope so.
Captain Marvel's Entertainment Weekly issue is now out. If you want to see some interviews in there,
Cool.
And this is interesting. The pre-sales for Captain Marvel's tickets are the third highest in the MCU now,
Ooh,
behind Black Panther
Mhm.
in second and Infinity War in first.
really? I always thought Black Panther would be in first.
Yeah, I guess because I do remember the day when it was like, oh, Infinity War passed Black Panther. And it was a mix of, well, duh,
Yeah.
and also a mix of that's surprising because Black Panther was like a cultural phenomenon.
Oh yeah, it was massive.
So
It like totally, even outside of the MCU, people went and like flocked to see that movie because
Yeah,
it
it's
was so
nominated.
important.
Can you believe it won Best Picture? It won Best Picture.
It won Best Picture.
Yeah.
Oh, because this is coming out after
This
the
is coming
Oscars?
out on Monday. Can you
No,
believe it?
I don't know. I don't believe it. I was trying to think. I was like, what? Yeah, the Oscars are this weekend.
They are. So how about we close out news with that? Do you think it's going to win Best Picture?
Black Panther?
Yeah.
No. I think it was nominated just because of its cultural significance. And that's fine. I think it... no, I don't think it'll win. I don't think it'll win. What else is nominated?
A lot of stuff that seems to have no great support behind it.
You know, 2018, a little bit of a tangent. Not the best year for movies. It was great, but not the best.
Yeah. So with that closes that news.
Sure.
When we come back, we will be discussing Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
And gonna try to keep this under an hour. See you in a second.
You ready for another bout?
What, you getting sleepy?
Welcome back. We are now going to be discussing in more depth than any movie so far, Captain America Civil War.
Hell yes.
I want to start out before we get into the details.
Yep.
When you went into this film the first time,
Mm-hmm.
Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
Definitely Team Cap.
Me too.
Yeah. And, yeah, still am. But I understand, I really do understand Iron Man's motivations.
And I think that is a massive, like, undertaking
Mhm.
of sort of making the most lovable MCU character to this point,
Right.
the antagonist.
Yeah.
Not an easy task.
No.
And I think the Russos and Robert Downey Jr. both did an incredible job with that.
Yep. I wanted both of these characters to win
Yeah, me
in this
too.
movie.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted them to succeed.
Yeah. So Civil War. I know this is like one of your favorites, right?
It's my favorite and still
Okay.
is.
Civil War. The first time I saw it, I guess we can start there.
Yeah.
Obviously my favorite MCU film is The Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Going into this, I was extremely excited
Oh, yeah.
because I was like, same directors, following up on Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Iron Man's in it this time.
Mhm.
Gonna be a good time. I left disappointed.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that change over time?
I've seen this movie a few times since then, probably like 4 times
Yeah.
since I saw it in theaters. And I feel like each time I end up liking it more because I appreciate the more nuanced things in here
Right.
outside of the expectations going in of like Winter Soldier Part 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I do still think it struggles with being a Captain America movie.
It definitely does. Yeah.
which we can get into, but
What I'll say about this movie is that it is much more of an Avengers movie than it is a Cap movie. It's like an Avengers. I don't want to even say side story because this movie is really important for the Avengers, but it's not like this global catastrophe. It's more of an introspective Avengers story than it is a Captain America. It's an Avengers movie with a focus on Captain America.
yeah, that's one of the things I wrote down is it's a very weird balance between being Captain America 3, Winter Soldier 2, and Avengers 2.5. And I don't know if it pulls off any of those things incredibly well.
Right.
Altogether, sure, it's good, but like as it's originally what it was pitched as being the Winter Soldier follow-up and then a MCU shaking moment in time. It's like, yeah, you did some stuff.
Yep.
One of my biggest issues, actually, and I can't really blame it on this, more so the MCU moving forward, the events of Civil War, I have not felt until Infinity War.
Yes. What was after Civil War leading up to Infinity War?
So between Civil War and Infinity War, we had Doctor Strange,
Okay.
Guardians 2,
All right.
Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther.
Okay, so yeah, Black Panther I think is the only one that really, I mean,
Slightly touches
on it. Yeah, Spider-Man not really.
Spider-Man is my biggest issue with... No, hold on. The plot of
I hate Spider-Man. No.
No, everything in Spider-Man Homecoming is my... Like, I love that movie.
Oh, I adore it.
And I don't have an issue with Homecoming. I have an issue with the precedent that this movie sets up
Okay, yeah.
for how Homecoming exists.
Right.
Because the entire premise, the entire conflict is the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah.
And I really... Like, come on. Like, what does this do for anything? It made the Avengers break up. That's it.
Yeah.
And again, that's a big deal, but...
Yeah, and
Like-
I feel like even in Infinity War, they kind of just, they're like, it's fine now.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you have Banner, who was out of it the whole time.
Right.
And he's the one who's kind of bringing them back together. Like, hey, get over it. This is a big deal.
That's true.
Which, again, this isn't about Civil War. It's more about the MCU as a whole.
Yeah, that's just, these are just issues after Civil War,
Yeah.
I suppose.
But, like, the whole... within the context of this movie, I think the conflict of the Sokovia Accords and Zemo specifically using that and using the history of Bucky connected to Tony's family and everything, brilliant.
I think up to this point, when this released, I think Zemo is low-key, the best Marvel villain.
Yeah, I wrote that down too.
I'll say.
Zemo
because
is the best one, yeah.
He's the only guy to win.
Yeah,
he's the Joker of the MCU.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, no one really remembers his performance because he's really not even in it all that much.
Yeah, I think he does a good job.
Yeah, I think he's as an actor he's great. But what he can accomplish and do it just for himself, like it is really like a selfish motivation, and they think he's doing it to unleash these other Winter Soldiers, and then when they get there and
They're just all dead.
He's like, I did this to play you guys.
Yeah.
He definitely played them.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about Zemo.
That's the thing I like the most about it, I think, is the performances and the relationships between everybody. Even more so than Winter Soldier, I feel like, because Winter Soldier had, for me, the aspect of incredible relationships, especially between like Cap and his friends and his core team.
Right.
I still think that's untouchable, even in Civil War, even though I just praise Civil War for doing it.
Yeah.
The action in Civil War, not that good to me.
Really?
Again, comparing to Winter Soldier,
Okay.
because it's the same team behind the scenes and it's the same like characters pretty much. You have more of the MCU involved, but the choreography, I don't know. There's just something off about it to me.
Which parts? Or like just in general?
I think the motorcycle chase is not great.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
The stairway fight, I like.
Ooh, I think that's incredible, yeah.
The stairway fight is very good. I don't. It's like that's the closest thing that touched Winter Soldier action. For me.
Okay, yeah. The boat scene on Winter Soldier is pretty awesome.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you got that. You got the highway scene. Like,
You got it all, yeah.
But yeah, so the action is fine. It's more cool because of who's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, Black Panther. This is the first time we're seeing Black Panther in
That's true.
action, and it's a all right car chase. You know.
Yeah, that is a good point. That scene in particular isn't all that great, like after the stairwell scene. But I will say, the airport scene, I absolutely adore.
The airport scene I like a lot because of the character interactions,
Yes.
not necessarily because of the fighting.
That's a good point.
The fighting isn't that great.
It is more focused on the characters and their kind of interactions with each other.
I'll
I
quote
get-
Falcon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been in a fight, but there's usually not this much talking.
Yeah, it's
Winter
that's-
Soldier had no talking in their fights, pretty much.
Yeah, the interplay between those characters is awesome. And shout out, I must say, big shout out to Paul Rudd because
he stole it.
steals
He stole
the
everything.
show as soon as he wakes up from the van. Thanks for thanking of me.
Yeah.
And just touches Cap's pecs. And like honestly, everything he does is absolutely hilarious. Thanks, Arrow guy. Like he doesn't
love-
even know Hawkeye.
One of my favorite Ant-Man lines in the entire thing so far is when the fighting starts up. He grabs the shield. He's like, "I believe this is yours, Captain America."
He's like so excited to be there.
Yeah,
He's like,
it's-
"Wow,
it's so good.
I can't believe you thought of me to come here. I know you have a lot of super friends, so this is really cool."
I know you too. You're great.
Yeah, yeah. I
Paul
absolutely
Rudd is
love
great.
Paul
He's
Rudd.
such a treasure.
Oh my god. Yeah. It really, that airport scene really is. It is one of my favorites in the MCU. But what I like about this movie specifically is the emotion behind everything that's taking place.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing too.
I think like this makes me like well up more than any other MCU movie. I mean, I guess Infinity War now, especially with Tom Holland, rest in peace. But honestly, like there's so much emotion behind everything that's happening here. Even like a little thing like when Spider-Man is first introduced and him and Tony are talking in Peter's room, he essentially like makes a reference to Ben, Uncle Ben, without saying it. Like if all these things are happening and I'm paraphrasing, but like if all these things are happening and you have the ability to do something and you don't, they happen because of you. And like that's great power comes great responsibility, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know why the new Spider-Man and Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield try to like avoid saying that direct line.
I think it's because
Is it because of
just
Sam
so
Raimi?
classic, you know. Like in that, like say what you will with the Sam Raimi movies, the that Uncle Ben is still my favorite.
Oh, me too. I agree.
Yeah, and I guess I just don't want to retread it. And I give them credit. Let's talk about Spider-Man.
Sure.
So this is the first movie we see Spider-Man in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is another thing that I went in extremely excited about. This one I walked away being happy with.
Yeah.
Because
good.
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero.
He's like, I switch between. I mean, you and I probably both do between Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah, it's hard to pick, but
It's
like
tough.
Spider-Man is the one that's like, I care about you more.
I think as a character, I enjoy the events of Batman more, like the world around him.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the character of Spider-Man more. Yeah.
Tom Holland is fantastic.
I think so too. I think what he has in Homecoming is better.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen it there, but
I'm glad this was his first step into it, and it wasn't in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, there are some annoying parts that I have with Spider-Man in this. I think he's a little too much at some parts. The whole Empire joke. I know some people have issues with that. I think it's fine, but
I
it's a
like
little campy, I guess, a little cheesy. But I guess that makes sense because he's just really excited to be there. Like
Yeah.
he's in Paul Rudd's position.
Yeah,
and he's just
exactly.
like, I'm so stoked to be here. But I think Tom Holland is the best on screen Spider-Man we've seen.
Me too.
Like I mean, I like Tobey Maguire, but like you go back and look at him and it's like, oh my god, like I've been introduced to so many incarnations of Spider-Man and you are so boring. I mean, I love those movies, but man,
Yeah.
Tom Holland really, he's Spider-Man to me.
Yeah. Tom Holland is my second favorite Spider-Man overall, and favorite on screen. My favorite Spider-Man all time is Spider-Man PS4's.
Oh, Yuri Lowenthal?
He does a great job.
Yeah, he's great actually.
It's funny too because when I was reading Amazing Spider-Man comics after Spider-Man came out, I was reading it in his voice.
Yes.
And the only other character I do that for is Batman with
Kevin Conroy. Yeah, me too.
So I think he did an incredible job. He like embodies Spider-Man for me.
Yeah, definitely. And a thing I noticed in this movie that I like had never really thought about, seeing it before. I've seen this, I don't know, probably half a dozen times, And watching it yesterday, the Cap and Spider-Man interplay is so cool, and I would love to see them together more. And I don't think we ever will.
Yeah,
which is
that's a
really
bummer,
sad.
yeah.
Maybe in Endgame, probably not, but I would love for them to have a whole movie dedicated to just them two. That is like a little too much, but like the Brooklyn and Queens connection is just so brilliant.
Yeah,
Where are you from?
It's really good.
Queens.
I love that
Brooklyn.
line too.
Great, absolutely great. And Peter is someone who needs a mentor, and we like any incarnation of Spider-Man, he needs someone to look up to. And in this one, it's Iron Man, but I'd love to see him and Cap together.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
it would be very nice. It's also, I guess, if we want to pull a fun fact, I read in this here book earlier. The speech that Sharon gives in the funeral for Peggy.
Yep.
Is the speech that Cap gives to Spider-Man in the Civil War comics.
Oh, I didn't
The
know.
whole like if you like don't move, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
That was given by Steve to Peter.
I know Steve said that. I didn't know it was to Peter.
Yeah.
And now after what we were just saying, I really appreciate that. I wish we saw that, but oh well.
Also worth talking about, we mentioned it briefly earlier. This is the first time we see Black Panther.
Yes, it is.
I think Black Panther is an incredible character.
Mm-hmm.
I love him so much.
Yeah, he's great.
Just from like every aspect of fiction and representation of that character on screen, I think is really cool.
And I think they did a really good job of introducing a character into this massive cast of characters already, and having it seem just so seamless.
And they did that twice in one movie.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Black Panther. It's just perfect. I think Black Panther a little bit more makes more sense, just slightly more.
Yeah, he had a bigger role for sure.
Yeah, and then Spider-Man is a little out of left field when you like if you didn't know that Spider-Man was going to be in the movie, because Scarlett Johansson's like, my guy's downstairs. Where's your guy? And he's like, I got a guy. And then like just Queens.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, but I really do think they did a good job with introducing both of those characters.
I do too, and I have a greater issue with Civil War overall that we can get into a little more. But yeah, the introduction of Black Panther was great. I thought his origin, again, telling his origin in this movie, similar to Spider-Man, gives them a good testing ground, see what works, what doesn't.
Definitely.
And everything about him is just transitioned so seamlessly into Black Panther.
Yeah, no need for a setup or anything. Like you're already in. That's like a standalone movie. You don't need an origin story. You get a little bit in Black Panther, but that's really not all that much, which is great.
And it's I thought the decision to have him and his father be the central part in this worked very well because it made you care about him instantly. Like Spider-Man, again, they didn't even tell the origin because we all know Spider-Man. We all like Spider-Man.
Definitely.
Black Panther is newer, and having that relationship of like the father figure who was lost.
Right.
Good decision. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. I liked both of their performances.
Yeah.
I think both of those actors are like incredibly likable from what they were doing on screen. So.
Yeah, the two of them, Captain Marvel, that's the future of the MCU, man.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right.
So I want to address my issues.
Do it. Yeah.
Like I said, the Sokovia Accords don't really have much of a there's no repercussions.
That's true.
So I have
like later on after Civil War, you mean?
I mean, even
or just in the movie itself.
Even within the film, it sets up the conflict and then it just kind of goes away.
That's true.
From the, I want to say beginning of the second act onward, not important.
Yeah, once the bomb goes off, it doesn't really matter.
Well, even after that, there's the scene with Tony and Cap, which is like their last time together being on the same page, is when he's like, hey, I have these pens. They're very special.
Yeah.
You want to sign? And he's debating it and everything. After that, they kind of just disappear.
I think it's because they're already in place.
Yeah.
And by then, the Avengers who signed are good to go, and they do whatever the government tells them. And the Avengers that didn't sign they're not like.
That's never made clear either.
I feel like they're like, don't do anything or we'll do something to you. You're like, go live your life, but if you do something, we're gonna do something to you. And I think that's when it came back into play. They don't really explain it that much, but to me, that's what I got from it was that, like, Iron Man's fine and he's kind of the tool of the government now, and Captain America is better not do anything, or we will come and find you.
Yeah, that's just so strange because like obviously he's gonna do something.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
It's like Captain America.
Right.
So that's just something that I always had an issue with.
Mhm.
Also, I did mention they're juggling a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
And as someone who was hoping for a Winter Soldier sequel, disappointed. I give them credit for everything they did, but
Right.
it was a lot to like handle at once. Again, Black Panther, Spider-Man, excellent.
A lot. Yeah.
The trio of Cap, Bucky, and Sam, great.
Hilarious. Can you move over?
No.
Can you move your seat back? I hate you.
There's some really great stuff. I love, like, again, it's entertaining. I
Yeah.
love the interactions between the characters. That is the highlight of this movie for me.
Oh, definitely.
Also, my favorite thing about my favorite thing about Civil War, outside of the villain and outside of the character interactions, is Tony.
Yeah.
I think this is Tony's best performance. Like
Ooh,
Robert Downey
interesting.
Jr.'s best performance as Tony.
I think that's probably true.
Because it is the most human, it's the most in-depth, it's the most
Yes.
introspective. And the scene, like the entire sequence of him at MIT,
hmm
which I think is close to the opening of the film. That's when we
Yeah.
get into modern times.
It's pretty early.
That hits so hard. The interaction between him and the like guy's mother.
hmm
That you killed my son.
Yeah.
Lots of shades to the original Iron Man.
Honestly.
And then him being silent in that meeting with Ross, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's so much nuance to his performance in this. I think it is the best one. At least tied with Iron Man 3 for me.
Right.
As far as him acting as Tony. Because obviously he's had almost a decade at this point to grow into the role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Robert Downey Jr. in this one.
I think that's probably true. I think the motivation for Tony is really good, especially with the young boy's death, and he's like clearly torn up about it when he's like bringing it up in front of the Avengers, and of course at the end when they're fighting, he's
Oh
like,
God, yeah.
where he's like, he didn't mean to. He's like, I don't care. He killed my mom.
Mhm.
It's like that's how anyone else would react in that situation for sure. So
I will say also, I want to give a shout out to Brian Intihar because he was watching Civil War this week too.
oh, was he?
Yeah, the Tony Cap Bucky fight at the end.
No, that's good choreography.
That is very good.
Yeah.
That I forgot to mention that earlier.
Mhm.
That is also like Winter Soldier levels amazing
Oh,
choreography.
yeah.
It's brutal. Like that's the one that you really feel it. And I feel like part of that may be because of the character relationships and the stakes of that scene.
Right.
But the way it's composed, the like actual framing of everything, I love the area they're in at the end, especially.
Yes.
When
When
it's
they're
just-
tossing the shield back and forth to each other,
Yeah.
just beating down Iron Man is
And then there's
incredible.
the pillars in the back. It
Mhm.
just feels very claustrophobic. And
Yes.
like it's all contained in this one area, and this
Right.
is the core of the entire conflict. It's great.
I that's one of my favorite parts in the MCU for sure.
I love too the there's like kind of a callback to Avengers when they're fighting. I guess you could call it a callback, but they focus on it, so I'm gonna call it a callback.
Yeah.
Tony doing like a repulsor blast against the shield,
Oh yeah.
and because he did that and they were working together to take out Chitauri in the Avengers, and that same imagery, different perspective and different motivation, obviously, being used in the fight of the three of them.
That's a good call.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because they slow down on that one. It's very deliberate.
Right.
Love that shot.
Oh my god. Yeah, honestly, like this this still is my favorite MCU movie.
Yeah, go off because I know this is your favorite one. I
Yeah.
do like it a lot, but
Yeah,
those were my issues.
So when I first saw it, I don't know if I had a similar reaction to you. I was like, oh, that was a good Marvel movie. But I guess anytime I went back to see it, I was like, oh, this movie like is the most important in the MCU when it released. I always say it's the Empire Strikes Back of this of the MCU because every character is at their lowest point in this movie, especially when it ends too. I think so.
Would you even?
Coming up, yes,
Okay.
I think so because like the Avengers are toast after this. You know, like this has great consequences. At least when it released, like I know we were saying earlier. But yeah, the characters are just like totally dejected. Tony and Cap are done. I mean, it ends like positively, which is a kind of a weird thing when when Steve gives Tony the cell phone, and then it looks like Cap is gonna rescue everyone from the raft, which is a little weird. But
Yeah. Also, again, I don't like being the guy who's like, oh, plot holes, because I never bring that up. But I noticed this last night. If Cap snuck in to break them all out.
Yeah. Ant-Man.
Clint and Ant-Man, or Clint and Scott, both escaped a max prison, and they're like, "Hey, we're just gonna take the deal to be with our families, I guess."
Yeah, I don't know.
It's strange.
That's
I don't care because I don't really get
Yeah.
hung up on those things, but it was something I thought of.
Yeah, I really, I don't know. I adore this movie. I really do.
It's really good. I know it sounds like I'm being negative on it, but I really like it.
No, yeah. I know people are kind of torn with this movie. I don't think anyone hates this movie, but there are some issues.
Oh no,
with it,
I've
for
never
sure.
I said I've grown to like it more.
Yeah.
I've never disliked this movie at
Yeah.
all.
I will say objectively, Winter Soldier is probably a better movie. But for me personally, something about this movie just really hits home with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the drama between Cap and Iron Man for sure.
Yeah, it's like
It's just so emotional.
yeah, it's so well acted,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think this is. I don't know if I'd say it's the best performance from Chris Evans.
Oh, it's probably up there.
It is. I don't know what the number one would be for me.
Yeah.
Because I like clear as day. I think this is the best Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
performance.
I think I'd probably agree with you on that.
But the dynamic they have, everything about like that core conflict, I
Mhm.
love. Even though the Winter Soldier stuff got taken care of like pretty quickly.
Yeah. Shout out to the big old letters on screen when they
Yeah.
pop up. I don't know why I like that, but I was like, oh, we're in Cleveland now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Small little facet of the movie. I
Mhm.
kind of like that.
Yeah. So I guess closing out on Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you fall on the whole Captain America trilogy being the best out of all of them? Because I firmly think this is the most consistent trilogy out of all
Yeah, I think
the continuities.
it is the best. But it's a soft best. The first one I really like. It's so cheesy though, and it is so different than Civil War and Winter Soldier, and that's kind of a detractor for me. It's not really a cohesive trilogy.
Mhm.
In when you think of like something like The Dark Knight or something like that. But I think it is the best. I think a lot of people would say Iron Man. I actually like Iron Man 3 the best of all those.
Out of all of them.
Yeah. But I think it is Cap. Thor doesn't make any sense for that to be the best trilogy because
Yeah, and again, I like Thor 1 a lot.
Yeah.
Ragnarok is great.
Mhm.
I can't say that's the best out of them.
Can we lump Avengers Age of Ultron and the two new Avengers into a trilogy when Endgame is released? Because Endgame is kind of Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
Or is that too much of a stretch?
I mean, I guess it depends on what they do in Endgame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
You think this is the best trilogy, though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think the Cap trilogy is the best because, like you said, the first one is different,
Yeah.
but like I kind of give it to him because it is early in the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a character that's like the Boy Scout that they had to try and make relatable,
Right.
and I think they did a good job with it.
Definitely a good progression over time.
Oh, for
Of the
sure.
character.
Yeah. Like Civil War, I don't think is less good than Winter Soldier. I
Mhm.
think Winter Soldier is better because it has a focus and it's not trying to juggle so many things.
Yeah.
And it's a very personal. I don't know if I'd say more so than Civil War, but it's like that conflict between everybody is so like just inherently thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
This you get higher stakes, I guess.
Right.
So it's time to rank.
Sure.
I'll go through my ranking because yours is probably
Everyone probably knows mine, yeah.
Last place I still have Hulk. 12th now I have Thor: The Dark World. 11th is Iron Man 2. 10th is Captain America. 9 is the Avengers. 8 is Thor. 7 is Ant-Man. 6 is Iron Man. 5 is Iron Man 3. 4th place is Civil War. 3rd is the Avengers Age of Ultron. 2nd is Guardians of the Galaxy. 1 is Winter Soldier.
Cool. My list, 13th is The Incredible Hulk. 12th, Thor: The Dark World. Those will not change, let me tell you.
Yeah, mine either.
Yeah. Number 11 is Thor. Number 10, Ant-Man. Number 9, Iron Man 2. Number 8, Iron Man. Number 7, Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 6, Iron Man 3. Number 5, The Avengers. Number 4, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2, Captain America: Civil War. Sorry, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And then number 1, Captain America: Civil War. I just couldn't wait to say it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that went well.
Yeah.
I'm glad we get to go in more depth now.
Yes, for sure.
Next week, watch Doctor Strange.
Oh God, sorry. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have opinions on that movie.
I've only seen it once.
I've seen it a couple times, and
oh boy.
yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one, I think.
So hopefully next week we have Pat back, and maybe we'll have a guest at some point.
Ooh,
soon.
yeah, that'd be cool.
If there's anything you want to plug, Twitter.
Sure. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FascinatedJack. I have a weekly video game news briefing podcast. It releases every Monday. It's called The Polygonal Sunrise. It's on Amherst Wire. You can find it on amherstwire.com. You can search for it on iTunes and Spotify, The Polygonal Sunrise, or you can also find it under the Amherst Wired podcast feed on either Spotify or iTunes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Chris N. Buckley. The show has a Twitter that I have yet to plug, at ExcelsiorJC on Twitter. Excelsior is a show on the JoyClicks YouTube channel. You can find Excelsior also on Spotify and iTunes. If you're watching it on there, or listening, I should say, rate it, because that's something I have to start saying.
Oh, yeah.
Rate it so we get found more by more people, and we can do more cool things with the show. That'd be fun. JoyClicks just started our video game podcast. 2 episodes in so far. My friend Omar hosts it. It's very funny. And it's like, oh, you're saying your show is funny. It's like, oh, of course you're going to try and say it's good. He does a very interesting job editing that show, and it made me laugh a
I
lot.
saw a little bit of it, and you looked like a ghost in the background.
Yep.
That's cool.
If that sounds interesting and you want to see a ghost talk about video games with some funny edits, go watch that. But yeah, that's going to close it out for this week's episode. Had a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Again, next week is Doctor Strange, and until next time.
I'll end it with my favorite quote from the film. This is from Sam to Black Panther. So you like cats?